All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to visualize a pipeline in Kibana. So in this video, we're going to look at XPack for Logstash. We'll configure a pretty simple Logstash pipeline. We'll view it in Kibana. Then we'll create an index pattern to make sure we see the data that's coming out of our Logstash pipeline. All right, XPack. Remember, XPack is kind of the add-on features that come from Elastic that make your life so much easier, from Logstash monitoring to some of the configuration items and applications within Kibana. And if you have a paid license, you can do like security within Elasticsearch and whatnot. But right now, I'm going to show you how we install XPack for Logstash. All right, so we'll quit the Logstash pipeline that we had running. And we will run user share logstash bin logstash plugin. See that path I'm running is sudo user /share /logstash /bin /logstash -plugin, wherever you install it. And I'm going to say install XPack. Now I already have XPack installed. It's going to fail. But that's how you install XPack if you have not already. So here it's downloading the file, unpacking the file. Actually, this is a newer version than the one I had installed before, so you'll see it get installed. There. So now XPack Logstash version 6.1.2 is installed successfully. So now we need to make a pipeline. So we've seen these graphics before. Pipelines are data in, data process, data out. So let's look at a new pipeline. So in this path, I have a new one called dummy.conf. So we'll go vi dummy.conf. I'm going to show you something new as a bonus in this. We're going to have data load from a file. So we have temp/dummy.txt. It's just a file on disk. So Logstash will read from its current location, and every time there's a new line, it'll send it out as an event. Now we're doing two things at the bottom. We're going to send it out to the standard output. Again, that Ruby debug. And we're also going to send it to Elasticsearch. Here you can set the Elasticsearch host, port, any authentication credentials, SSL certificates if you have them installed and required. Here, all the default values say localhost on port 9200. So that's where my Elasticsearch is running, so I will use that. So we will run sudo user share logstash bin logstash-f dummy. And while that starts, I'm going to make a new window and show you how we can output data. Editor, pause it right here. I'm going to make a new Now our Logstash is ready to go. It is reading from that file. So here I'll switch to another terminal where I'm also SSH this box, and I'm going to show you how to echo some commands. I'll echo hello, just the word echo. So echo sends it to the standard output of this program. You'll see nothing out over here in our Logstash window because I didn't send it to dummy.txt. So I'll do the same, echo hello, and I will append it to /temp dummy text. This is a little Linux trick if you're not familiar. Echo hello prints out the word hello to the standard output. Using the double arrows, double carrots, no carrots go up. Using two of those symbols, I will append the standard output of this program into this file. So this file, again, temp.dummy. From what we're reading from our Logstash config file. So I'll echo hello, I'll echo 3, hello, 31, 32. I'm just making up things to send some data to that file. And I can cat that file, and I'll show you that they are in that file. So there's some other stuff I put in there before, but we'll go back over to our Logstash window, and you can see Logstash picked up each of those records. So I'll show you that config file real quick, so you'll see hello, 3, 32, 36. So I'm killing my Logstash pipeline, and I'm going to look at that dummy.conf. Again, remember, it read from a file. This is an input plugin on this path. That's a configurable path. Didn't do anything in the filter, and it output it to the standard output using the Ruby debug codec, and it also sent it to Elasticsearch. Now, we've talked about Elasticsearch a lot, and we know, where does data go in Elasticsearch? Data goes into indexes. So we did not specify the index, did we? So, all right, so now that we've installed XPack, we've logged some things, we're going to check the monitoring. So if I go back to my Kibana window, let's figure out where that data went. So today is the 28th, so we have to find that data. So let's start with 28. What do we have? Again, I need to make this index pattern. So I know it's logstash. I need to click Create Index Pattern, and I know today is the 28th. And we can see I have a metric beat, which I knew about, file beat, which I knew about. Now we have logstash. Logstash is one we did not know about. So let's create this logstash pattern. And I'll do logstash /star to get all my logstash records. I'll click my timestamp field. I don't care about advanced options. I'm creating my index pattern. Let's actually set this as the default because I want to. And then we'll go to our Discover tab, and sure enough, we have 4 pieces of data. So we'll show the timestamp. We will add the index name just because that's a good piece of data. IDs are random. UID's type is a doc coming out of logstash. Came from localhost from the file dummy text, and we'll add the message. The message is exactly what we talked about. I didn't mean score, I meant message. So here's our message. So we see our hello 3, 32, 36. So we drill in, we should be able to get it close enough to see all 4 records. Each of those are a couple seconds apart. That's how we get our data from logstash into Elasticsearch. So we can configure that the index name coming out of logstash. I just did not in that example. But now here's what I want to show you. If we click on the management icon within Kibana, we can click on the logstash pipelines, and on the left we click on monitoring. And under logstash, we can see the overview. We can see, yes, we have some data coming in. See, now we're getting into this monitoring stuff, which we'll talk about more later. Go back to monitoring. I want to look at the pipeline. So in this case, we can see the last time I ran this pipeline was 3 minutes ago. So it didn't have a name, so it generated a random name. But we can look. So this is the file input. The queue. This queue is the local queue on the logstash server. Remember, I said I had to run it with sudo, which means I'm running it with administrative permissions because I needed to write that queue to a path that's only writable by an administrator or the logstash user. So then I can look and I can see, okay, this is showing the amount of time required to execute this pipeline. So printing to the standard out was 5% of the time, an average of 5.5 milliseconds per event. With Elasticsearch, outputting to Elasticsearch took 94% of the time with an average of 104.25 milliseconds per event. This kind of monitoring being built into Kibana is fantastic. I've been using Kibana for years, and had I had this visualization with logstash, my life would have been so much better. Now it is. Now your life can be better too. In our next video, we're going to use logstash filters more in depth. We're going to go through a very good use case that you will most likely use if you're setting up a logstash monitoring cluster in your infrastructure.